Since the dawn of Mike's YouTube career, he has done an obligatory iPhone predictions video every year. I guess because he feels like he has to, because he's just done it so many times. Well, this is that video.
Welcome. I hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday. I'm Mike, and you know what time of year it is? It is time for the new iPhone. This happens every year around the same time, and every year I do a video about my predictions, which has now turned into a more me going over the rumors and giving my impressions of it. But you know, I like to do this because it is tradition, and you must not break tradition. So we're gonna go ahead and hop into it. Now, what I did was I pulled up the MacRumors article because they have like a consolidated list of all the rumors, and it just makes it super convenient. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't think it's an upgrade year for me. I still have my iPhone 12 Pro. I still have the MagSafe thing, which was a big thing to me. And even with these rumors, I don't think I'm gonna upgrade personally, but I'm gonna go over it and then we could talk about it. So let's start with 5G. It's really short. They're just supposed to have a more efficient 5G chip that's supposed to handle 5G bands better. That's cool. I mean, 5G is still pretty new, so there's obviously going to be improvements there. They could just have the same 5G modem. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be that big of an improvement. It's definitely not enough for me to go, should I upgrade? Like, I don't have millimeter wave 5G in my area anyway, so I'm actually fine with the iPhone 12 as far as the connection. I have T-Mobile and they're kind of in my area, so a lot of that is just really going to depend on carrier anyway. It'd be cool if they do improve it and they can get some more battery life potentially out of the iPhone. Speaking of battery life, it's also rumored that the iPhone might have a bigger battery and it might up the fast charging speed over wire, of course, from 20 watts to 25 watts. But at this point, you're a little bit late in the game, Apple. I mean, I don't really think 5 more watts is going to make that much of a difference. Android phones have been doing crazy charge speeds for a while. There's phones that can do 65 watts. I mean, doing 5 more watts, that's good if they do it, but if they make it like a thing on stage, like it's amazing, I don't know. Also, they stopped putting chargers in the box, so it'd be weird for them to be like, oh yeah, now this can charge faster than ever, but you don't get a charger anyway. So you're probably just gonna use whatever crappy charger you have laying around, or some $5 Five Below wireless charger. It is what it is. That's cool. It's not that much more if that's true, like 5 additional watts. Whatever. There's a few camera rumors, which I'm not gonna get into because I think Apple does a better job of showing off the camera on stage. But I do want to touch on a few video rumors. So it's rumored that you'll be able to record video with the blurred background with the bokeh effect in portrait mode. And then also on the Pro models, we could see ProRes come to the iPhone Pro line. So that'd be kind of cool, especially for people who use their iPhones for more professional use. I toy around with the iPhone sometimes. I've recorded a few videos with the iPhone 12 just to try it out. And it's a really good camera. It's a really good video recording tool. It's probably gonna be better than a lot of cheaper cameras that you might buy for video, especially if you already have a phone. I still think it's cool that they're focused on video. I like to have a little bit more control over my videos, which is why I don't use a phone. But I think giving people more options is definitely better if this is true. And it would make sense that they would put this on the Pro line, since that's the whole thing with the Pro. It's the Pro cameras because they really couldn't differentiate any other way, since software-wise they're exactly the same. Now let's get into the juicy. I wanted to get the little stuff out of the way. Let's get into the juicy. So the design of the iPhone 13 is probably going to change slightly, including like a slightly different place for the volume rocker. And on the regular 13, they're doing this diagonal thing with the cameras instead of having them the way that they are now, where they're vertically stacked. So as a result, they're saying most likely iPhone 12 cases will not carry over to the iPhone 13. So if you got like an expensive case and you plan on upgrading, you're gonna have to get all new most likely. But it's Apple. They do this from time to time where they tweak the design to try to make it fresh, because in their eyes, especially now, as mature as the smartphone market is, the person that got an iPhone last year is probably not gonna be buying this year's phone, so the whole case not fitting thing doesn't matter. The main thing design-wise that's been leaked over and over again is the notch is gonna get slightly smaller. I'm just gonna say personally, I just don't care. Like, if the notch is still there, it's still gonna be there. Shrinking it a little bit is not gonna make me feel any better, Like having it up there just kind of makes that part of the screen unusable. I don't really do like full screen videos or anything because it's always there. And I'm not one to hate on the notch. I actually love Face ID, and that's why I don't mind having the notch there. I like it a lot better than Touch ID. That's just me personally. But there is an issue with Face ID that, you know, we ran into during this pandemic where something like Touch ID would have been better, and that's of course wearing masks. And it's also rumored that the new Face ID module is supposed to support unlocking while you're wearing a mask or while your face is partially obscured. And right now you can do that. I've enabled it on my iPhone, but in order to do that with the current iPhone or any more recent one that has Face ID, you have to have an Apple Watch, and it basically uses the watch as a second form of authentication and uses a less secure version of Face ID to unlock the phone. So this version would basically not require an Apple Watch, which would be great for situations like this where something does happen and you have to wear a mask, or, you know, your face is partially covered. I mean, some people wear scarves when it's cold. They may have it over their mouth or something like that. It'd be annoying to have to move it down to unlock your phone. So if that is true, then that's good. I think Apple's fully invested in Face ID at this point. I don't think it would be a bad idea to have Touch ID as a second option, like either under the screen or on the power button, like they do with the iPad Air, just as a second option for stuff like this. But I think now that Apple's gone full in on Face ID, they're not gonna go back. So, like I said, I personally like Face ID, but I do understand its faults and why people want another authentication method. The final thing I want to touch on today is the screen. So there's two big rumors with the screen. Let's get into the first one. So similar to the Apple Watch, like when they started the Series 5, it might have it always on display. There's already some phones on the market that do this, and basically your display would always be on. You can kind of quickly glance to see if you have notifications or check the time without having to hit the button to unlock your phone or tap the screen or anything. So I actually think in a phone, that's more useful than on the Apple Watch. Like when they added the always on display on the watch, I don't care about this. Like if I'm not looking at the watch, I don't care if the display is on or not. If I'm looking at the watch, I'm doing this anyway, which wakes the screen. And for me, it's always worked really well. Even back when I had my Series 3, I never cared about the display being off. Like I never really had issues where the display didn't wake up. But on my phone, it might be sitting on a desk or something like that, and maybe I don't need to see the notification, but I can glance and be like, oh, I got a notification. I can check it really quick, or up there's a time. For a device that may not be like physically with us all the time, like a watch, to me, having an always on display would be a lot more useful than even on the Apple Watch. The other rumor is they're finally going to do the 120 hertz ProMotion display. And of course, if they finally do this, it's expected to be on the iPhone 13 Pro models. But this has been like a reoccurring thing every year. Now it's kind of the norm on Android. Like you gotta have the high refresh rate, either like, you know, 75 hertz or 120. Some phones are even doing like 240. It's crazy. Like Apple is way behind in that aspect. The only place that we've seen high refresh rate from Apple has been in the iPad Pro, which, by the way, I'm still loving the new 12.9-inch iPad Pro. It's still awesome. I want that screen on my phone. Now, I think I'm just really burned out right now. Like, I'm so burned out because I had my iPhone 7 for 2 years, my 7 Plus. And then I went to the XS Max, which I hated. I upgraded next year to the 11 Pro, which I liked. And then now I'm on the 12 Pro, which I really like. And I'm actually just really happy and really tired of upgrading every year. So that's why I said at the beginning of the video, I'm not going to upgrade. It's like once you start upgrading every year, like the returns are so small, it just takes the excitement out of it. Like I want to be excited about a new iPhone. If I don't get these features this year, by the time the new iPhone rolls out in 2022, I might be like, oh wow, this is really cool because I didn't get those features from last year. But getting back to the refresh rate, this year I think is 120 or bust. Like this feature just needs to be on the phone. Like I feel like it's expected. Like most of the phones on the Android side that don't have 120 are like the lower end phones, and you have a phone, you know, that's starting off at around $800 that still has a 60 hertz refresh rate. They brought all the phones to OLED last year, which is great, but I do think at least on the Pro that we should get that high refresh rate, and that would also be a selling point for the Pro. Like I'm just tired of Pro cameras. I'm like, okay, cool, I have a zoom lens. Like I can still do most of the same stuff on the regular iPhone. I just buy the Pro because I like the material's better. Dang it, $200 extra just for material costs. So overall, if I was gonna get a new phone, what would be the features that I would buy it for? And the only thing that stood out to me were the display things, like the always on and the 120 hertz. Like if I upgrade, that would probably be the reason. Like I said, the smaller notch and the faster charging by 5 watts, those wouldn't really be things that I would personally look forward to. And as far as my opinion on which of these things will come to the new iPhone, none of these rumors seem too far out there. Like the furthest reaching one I would say would be the always on display. And then second would probably be the 120 hertz. And the only reason I say the 120 hertz thing is because it's been a rumor for multiple years and it doesn't happen. But it's not so far out of reach where I think it couldn't happen. I do think it's gonna happen eventually, and it would seem like a really good time, like I said, 120 or bust, to do it this year. Anyway, that's gonna bring my obligatory iPhone 13 predictions video to a conclusion. And of course, once they have the event, I'll be back to talk about my thoughts on whatever it is that they announce. I haven't heard much about the Apple Watch. I'm hoping that they surprise me this year, but we'll have to see. But that's gonna bring this video to a close. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I drop videos every Wednesday and Sunday on gaming and tech. Make sure to hit the bell notification so you get notified when I drop a video. And as always, remember to do at least 2 things at the same time.